When you say that growing or being in contact with growth or with greens or with gardening is somehow good for
Mhm.
you, what is it that you mean exactly? Or can you give an example of how that has helped you?
Well, it I think it connects you to the earth. I think a lot of times we're separated from the earth and the growing seasons. I think we don't always realize that, when you grow something, it has its own seasons. In the early times of the year, like now, we're going to be eating things like the dandelion greens, and the nettles will be coming up. But we wouldn't necessarily eat them, come September and October. We would eat them now. But you'll see all these cycles, and you'll see how the earth goes through cycles. And as women, we go through cycles, and it just, in some ways, it's all related. I think it helps us connect to ourselves and to the earth, which we're a part of, which feeds us and is important to our, whole humanity's survival. And I think you just feel good being able to get outside and be able to grow things or watch things grow. And you notice so many things. It kind of makes you slow down a little bit too. And you notice, you
Right,
notice things. Yeah.
right. As you were talking, I just thought about how the words nature and nurture are so connected.
Hmm. Yeah.
And that when we grow plants, we are nurturing them in a sense. We're giving them water, we're taking care that they have enough sun, we're tending to their needs. So we're nurturing what later becomes our nurturement, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
it's a kind of a relationship there. Yeah, I grew up in Southern California and I had no access to anything but seeing people mowing the lawn and my next door neighbor whose mother gave her the task of pulling up the dandelions.
Hmm.
So I'd sit with her and we'd pull up the dandelions, and those were the weeds, you had to get rid of them. And I think for a lot of people that's just kind of their contact, is that you keep nature in its place. And then we get
Hmm.
all of these weird things in our heads like dandelions are bad. Like
Hmm.
it's
Yeah.
really hard to get over that for a lot of people. Just that sense of they're weeds, you get rid of them. You don't
Hmm.
invite them in and find out. But dandelions are, of course, some of our most potent medicine. And actually, if you buy dandelion root as an herb, it's quite expensive.
Yeah. Yeah. And it has so many uses. And I think how it relates, to people too. There are so many things we overlook, and I think every person has value, but every plant has value, and that can remind us, kind of both ways, not to overlook things and see that some of those things we're stepping over literally outside, they
Right?
have
We're
value.
not noticing. We're not noticing.
Yeah. Yeah.
For,
And things that we want to get rid of, maybe we shouldn't be getting rid of. Maybe we should be thinking, how can this be useful? How can this help our families, help our lives,
so
and
t-
also
talking
help us be
about
good.
weeds, I have a colleague who is a minister, and he works in missionaries in Africa. The name of the country will come to me. And the mothers were complaining of having too little milk, and they were impoverished. And he was happening to, he was looking around the web and, just gleaning information. And he realized that the moringa tree, the horseradish tree, grows wild there as weeds. So,
Yes. Uh-huh.
so he made these women aware of the fact that these trees that they're pulling up because they're considered weeds actually are, some of the most nutritious food in the world, that we are now selling and buying to high prices in the United States to support our milk supply. And these women began to eat it and to obviously get healthy and to have a higher milk supply. But that's just how we lose our traditions. You would think that people living in an area where the moringa tree grows wild, that they would understand that this is a really potent form of nutrition and
Hmm.
also medicine. How easily that
Yeah.
just gets lost. So that's a comparison. We lose our understanding for dandelions, right? And they lose their
Uh-huh.
understanding for the moringa tree. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I think that's also shows how important it is for us to, even if we just grow a few things, it helps us retain and gain more of that lost knowledge that we'll pass on to our own children. Maybe you're growing some fennel and dill, and the child sees their mother using this, and maybe they'll remember that too someday. They may not remember the exact plant, but they'll remember, something, my mom used plants to help with her supply, and it might spark some more interest.
And it tasted good. It introduces new flavors to the kitchen, so the children become used to eating a variety of more potent and natural flavors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, children, they love herbs. They love to do things with them and make teas and all sorts of things. So
they also pick up on the mother's sense of empowerment and her sense of pleasure with the fact that she can create a little bit of food and a little bit of her own herbal garden that's supporting her milk supply, but also the health, because anything that supports your milk supply supports your health.
Yes. Yep. And they're not separate from each other. To keep our mom healthy, that's going to help keep our babies healthy.